welcome members of the community to address the board. When you are called, please come up to the microphone and state your name and your address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please direct all comments to the board. Per established procedures, we will not respond to questions or interact with the speaker during public comment. Everyone who indicates they would like follow-up from the district will receive it from the appropriate administrator. All right, and I've got my timer here. Dr. Mamahar.
Please address me as Vincent Manahar. I'm coming as a parent, not as a professional. Vincent Manahar, you'll find me at 6860 Cascade Road. My speech reflects my views and no affiliated organization. I recommend that all minors and easily triggered adults leave at this time. On 2/19/25 by email, Board Vice President Tryon wrote regarding parental control, quote, "Families across the district at all grade levels still have the ability to choose the tier of library access they feel is appropriate for their own child." And I agree, this board has done something. But an opt-out system only works if parents actually know what is in the school library. Otherwise, there is no informed consent. I wonder if Northern High, Eastern Middle, and Eastern High parents are aware that this book, Heroin by Mindy McGinnis, is in their library. It is a book embedded with an instruction manual on drug use. "That's some serious pills, girl. Oxy," she whistles. "Nice. First one's free because you're breaking my heart," she says. "After that, it's $1 a milligram." Edith is now apparently my pill supplier. "You've built up a tolerance to the 30s. I'd say go to 40s, but that's not much of a bump. Buy a bunch of 60s too. Edith will tell you about chewing them." Josie is crushing an oxy. "What are you doing?" I ask, as Josie forms powder into a line. "Somebody told me that if you snort it, you get high faster." JD is pulling needles out of her purse. "This is actually really simple. Look at my arm." She tells us how to find a good vein, how to make sure it won't roll, how to tell if you're in it or not. "The oxy goes straight into your bloodstream. You don't have to wait." I roll up my sleeve and do as she says, making a fist, then watching as she finds a vein. She shows us how to pull back on the syringe so we see blood flowing into the water, proof that we've hit a vein. JD pushes the plunger and I get everything all at once. "Let me know when you're ready to graduate." "Graduate?" Josie looks up. "To heroin," JD calls over her shoulder. Oxy is just basically synthetic heroin. The only difference between them is the delivery system. Chemically, it's the same drug. The only difference is it's cheaper. Heroin, an illegal addictive narcotic that produces euphoric effects. I make a fist. I find a blue line. I break my skin. I puncture a vein. I pull blood up into a syringe. Then I plunge. As I mentioned, greater transparency is required in libraries. Informed consent only exists if the parents actually know what is in their children's libraries. Good day.
Doug Lee.
My name is Doug Lee, and for those that are fairly new, this is my 6th year coming to school board meetings, and then before that I took a break. During my kids' time, I came to them then, and oftentimes then I was pretty much the only one in the room. Now we have a lot of concerned parents. I happen to be a business person in the community and a victim of these rising taxes and bonds that you continue to place on businesses. I told you so moment. 4 years ago, I said that we are on a 10-year decline in student enrollment, and we are. We're on 10-year. We're 8,800 in students today. Yet CJ talks about budgets being on track with budgets of last year. So we continue to lose students, but yet we still continue to spend money. Where are the cuts to facilitate that? I said to each member, if you don't get control of this, you're going to be dealing with empty classrooms and closing buildings. You're on track with closing buildings. We have 3 high schools. We have a tremendous amount of buildings. If anybody was under the delusion here that pretty buildings, and lots of them, are going to bring families in, your numbers speak for themselves. You have a declining enrollment, and you need to take responsibility of the declining enrollment, and you need to start making cuts in your budget. Now, I suggest right here, I listened to a program, I've listened to this PBIS program for 4 years now. It's a complete waste of money. My kids came to this school, and they had friends. I had 4 kids that graduated from Forest Hills. They all had friends. They had sleepovers. They were inclusive. Everything happened with our kids. But you bring programs in that cost us money, for what? You're gonna need to make those cuts. Now, if you don't start making the cuts now, you're gonna deal with a lot of irate parents when you start to have to close buildings down, just like other high schools and districts are doing. They're making their cuts too, because public schools and institutions are declining enrollment, okay? You don't have the same issue if you were at board at St. Robert's, or you don't have the same issue at North Point. Any of the private schools, you don't have those issues about declining enrollments because they're busted at the seams. There's a reason parents are leaving public school system, because you guys are producing a substandard education level. You're given an A by the state of Michigan by having the math proficiency scores of 67%. That's the state curve of 550 school districts. Okay, think about that. An A, Forest Hills, state of Michigan says you're getting an A in math proficiency scores with the 67th percentile. That's a curve. That means that everybody in the state is operating on the same level, and they are. All public school systems pretty much operate the same. They have the exact same problem you do. But you spend, in this district, we spend a lot of money on buildings, and we're having empty buildings, and you're gonna have to deal with those. You either deal with them now, or you wait to irate parents when you try to close one of these schools down. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Boone.
My name is Stephanie Boone. I live at 2205 Knoll Point Drive in Ada. And I would just like to talk a little bit to piggyback on some of the talk tonight about the federal funding and the DEI, the initiative that should be here to end DEI in Forest Hills. This is low-hanging fruit that you people should be able to figure out very quickly. Many of you took action very quickly to follow the orders when it came to masking and vaxxing and social distancing and keeping our kids home from learning. Why can't you grasp onto this right now? It's an order from the president. Why aren't we following it? On March 4, I emailed the superintendent and I asked, what is Forest Hills doing to get rid of DEI? What is Forest Hills actively doing? Because the deadline was March 1st. And he waits until conveniently today to respond to me, the day of a board meeting, to tell me that you're all gonna follow all of the laws. Well, I don't think you are. And I think it's time that you as a board sit together like Mrs. DeBoer had suggested and maybe think about some of these things. Dive into the programs and look for yourselves. On Forest Hill's own website, under mission, vision, and guiding principles, we are committed to the principle of diversity and inclusiveness. We believe in celebrating our heritage, healing racism, embracing differences to enrich and strengthen and connect our community, striving for equity. There are some buzzwords in there and you all know it. Do you know how I know you know it? Because you teach our kids those buzzwords. You spend millions of our tax dollars to teach our kids those buzzwords, and then you find those parents and friends of yours out there on social media going exactly against those buzzwords every day. Maybe some of those adults need to have a check-in, check-out system like the Meadowbrook principal talked about tonight, and find out how belonging we are being, how inclusive, how diverse are we really being. It's time we check ourselves. The books is another low-hanging fruit. We are 5 years into this. Come on, figure it out. Thank you.
Tom Nemchek.
Sláinte. Aaron Gobel. Hope you all are enjoying this festive day. I actually wanted to follow on to what Ms. Boone just said. This is 5 years since public education made one of the worst decisions in the history of this country by shutting down in-person schooling. We know now, irrefutably, every study that's been done has shown that that decision put our children behind 2 to 2.5 years in schooling. Let's hope we don't make that same bad decision again. Thank you, have a great night.
All right, that was everyone. At this time, public comments are closed. The board thanks you for your input, and the appropriate district representative will follow up with those who requested it. Right now, can I have a motion to please move into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.2681C to discuss collective bargaining strategy?
A motion.
Second.
Can I have a roll call vote to move into closed session, please?
Dr. Michaud?
Yes.
Ms. Commode?
Yes.
Mrs. DeBoer?
Yes.
Mr. Colley?
Yes.
Mrs. Tryon?
Yeah.
Dr.
Yes.
Faustin?
Yes.
Mrs. Nymeyer?
All right, thank you. We are going into closed session now. Thank you.